and welcome once again to this Bonita Soft webinar. Today, we will discover together Bonita's new version 2022.2. The first thing, you are already seeing my screen, and I will start community. So I've just installed a Bonita community, and it will launch for the very first time. So that's why we're seeing the release notes. The very first time you launch Bonita, it will launch by default these release notes that you can check them when you have the time. It contains the information to better understand this version. For now, I will just close this page. And we are at the new welcome page of Bonita. But the first thing that I would like to notice, it was faster. The first launch was faster. So it was, according to our measurements, around 50% faster than previous versions. So it's a very good point. So now let's take a look at this welcome page, which is lighter than previous one. We have a little bit rethought this user journey. And so you can start a new project, clone a project from Git, or import a boss archive. So for this demo, let's create a new project. And so since it's October, let's call it my October demo. Okay, and I will leave it, yes, version 001. My group ID, well, it's linked to your company, so I will just put my company. And I will leave the target runtime version as 7.15.0, which corresponds to the version 2022.2. Okay, the next step will be the extensions. So maybe you already know from the beginning, from the creation of your project, that you will need to connect to other systems. So this step is interesting when creating this new project. And Bonita comes with connectors already available by default that you can just import them very easily to your project. So for example, I would just choose Google Calendar and go for create. This way, my project will be created by Bonita, and it will include the dependencies linked to this Google Calendar connector. And once it's ready, it will appear on the main window of Bonita Studio. Okay, let's take a closer look at this new Bonita Studio. First, so the menu. The menu contains right now 3 elements: file, view, and help. And all the actions that you will see on this menu are linked to the Bonita Studio application. So what do I mean? File, for example, you can create a new project, or switch, or clone, import, export a project, share it with Git, restart Bonita runtime server. View, it will show something on this main window. So for example, I can show the welcome to Bonita Studio page that I showed just before. I can show the overview, which is showing right now. I can put it in full screen, or change the size of the toolbar. And in help, you will get a direct link to the online documentation, or the release notes, or how to give feedback of our product. And you can also access to the logs. So the studio logs, the engine logs, and the UI designer logs. So yeah, the menu here has been simplified in 3 elements, and really linked to actions, linked to the Bonita Studio application. So now we have the toolbar. The toolbar is right here, and there are some changes as well. So the first one is when you want to add a new element on the project. So yeah, the toolbar will be really linked to actions linked to the project that you have open. So for example, in here, I can create a process diagram. And if you knew previous versions, process diagram was not the first element on this list, but now it is. So it's more logical. It's been ordered according to the logical order that you follow when you are starting a project. So when you start a BPM project, it's normal that you start with the diagram. So now it's the first element. So you can add it this way, or you can go to the Project Explorer and right-click and go to New and Process Diagram. So let's go for it. Let's create a process diagram. As previous versions, it will create a diagram that contains a start event and a task. A best practice is also to add by ourselves an end event and connect it. So voila, you have your very first diagram. And in here, you can share this diagram, of course. So there are many ways to share your project or some components of your project. So for example, if I right-click on the diagram, I can export it as BPM and 2.0 or as an image. The same menu, the same option will appear if I go to the Project Explorer and click on the element itself on the diagram. So I can export it. And of course, I can import it that way as well. Another way to share not only diagrams, but also an entire project is Git. So this is also something that we have added on the toolbar. Okay, so now if you go to, if you click on Git, the first option will be share it with Git. So let's do it. So if I share with Git, for sharing with Git, you need to have already configured your computer with your Git configuration so it can work. I have already done that on my side, so that's why it will work. If you haven't, then take the time to do it and it will work as you will see here. So yes, I will start initialize the Git repository and my initial commit. Yeah, the commit message will be initial commit of my October demo. It's okay. So now what I'm going to do, oh, copied the one that I was using before. I'll just erase it. So I have a GitHub account. I will show it to you. And so that way I can create a repository. So for example, I can create my October demo. Sorry, October demo. I have already something called that way. Oh, what a surprise! October demo, yeah. And I will make it private because for now I just want to share it with some people and not make it public. So why not yet? Then create a repository. And then on GitHub, GitHub will give me this URL that I can just copy, and then I can go back to Bonita Studio and just put it in here. So next, I will then go push this initial commit to my master branch, okay? And yeah, Bonita now push this to this branch. And it says, okay, I have done it and I can close it now. I can verify, of course, if this worked. And I can see now my project and my diagram that I just created here. Okay, so very simple to, yeah, to share a project with a Git. And now that it's been followed with Git, the menu has changed. So all the actions linked to Git, such as commit, fetch, pull, push, are shown now on this toolbar item menu. Okay, great. Now another very cool feature is, I'm just going to show you. So by default, you have environments on your project. So it's very useful when you want, in production, you have some configuration, while in local or in development, you have other configurations. So it's useful to have different environments and configurations, right? So let's say that on my local environment, I want to add a parameter which is called hello. Okay. So that means that parameter has been added to all my environments. And now I want to configure my local environment. So this parameter called hello has as value world. Voila, we have just created a hello world with parameters. But well, parameters are interesting when you want, for example, an endpoint. An endpoint, you don't want to go to the same endpoint when you're in production than when you are on local, right? You want to separate them. So well, it's just an example for a small hello world. This means, for example, if I take a look at production and parameters, my value world is not taken into account because I just configure local. Okay, and the thing is that now I can create a new environment called, for example, dev development for before local. I want just an environment for development, and I want to duplicate it from local, so it will create an exact copy of local. So let's go for it. Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to save them. And so now in just a click, my environment dev is already here, and I can check if it has taken into account the parameter. And yeah, there it is. I have my hello world in here. Very, very useful, very fast. So now you can really save time for configuring your environments, because you can configure it once and then just clone them and then just use it according to your needs. Okay, so yeah, I hope you like that feature. I really like it. So now let's go back to our diagram. Let's say this step one, it has a variable, okay? So I will create business data model. I will define my business data model, and I will create an object called expense, for example. And this object will have two attributes. So the first one will be label, which will be a string, and the second one will be an amount, because it's an expense. And I will say it's of type double. Okay, so I've saved this, and I want to create now a business variable of this type of object that I just created. So it will call expense report finish. And with this, I can then define a contract. So contracts are useful when you want to, for example, create easily a form, and this form is really linked to the object that you just created. So I can just go from add from data, and it will tell me, oh, you already have this. So yeah, let's go finish. And I will say, okay, I want to create this contract. Now that you have here, you can easily create this form, and Bonita will help you by creating a default form. And it will show it on the UI designer. Okay, so we can see the preview. This is my expense report, and it has a label. Okay, and the amount, then yeah, I set a double, so yeah, I can add decimals and everything that I want, right? So when we think of amount on an expense, it's really linked to a currency. So let me show you this new widget, the currency widget, currency input. And when we see the show properties, we will see the mapping between the input and the one that we have right now, and the currency input, the new one that we want to use. We will see that we have some new values, for example, the symbol, the position of the symbol, the number of decimals, And I will say, yes, I want to switch to this new widget. And let's configure it now. So as I was saying, I can set a minimum value. For example, I don't want negative value, so I will say minimum value 0. And for some reason, I don't want expenses more than 1,000 euros. Yeah, why not euros? Or we can just change it to dollars, for example. And dollars is not on the right, but more on the left. So I should say save. And then let's take a look at the preview. So now this one hasn't changed. It's the same input string. And in this one, when I start typing, then you see it already adds the format that I asked for. So the dollars, and it also has the validation about, for example, yeah, it's too large because I said for some reason $1,000 and that's it. So this should simplify the management of currencies on your form. So don't hesitate to use this new widget, currency widget, that's available on community, on the community edition. We have finished the community edition journey. Let's go to the enterprise edition, which also has some cool features. So I will close this one. And now I will open enterprise edition, which I installed just before. And as community, it also starts very fast, and it opens the release notes by default on the very first launch. I will close this, yeah. And then we arrive to the same welcome page. It's exactly the same, very similar, except yeah, it's enterprise. And for this demo, I will use one of the projects that are already available for our users. So you can import, for example, the procurement example. Let's go for it. I will just click in there. I will leave it as it is. Here's the summary of what it's going to import. Here's also the summary of the extensions. So we can see that it's using a connector, an actor filter. So I will just import everything so it works correctly. And as when I create a new project, this means it will add all the dependencies and it will be ready to use when it's shown on Bonita Studio. Okay, let's wait just a little bit. And voila, this is the summary of everything that it has imported successfully. And I will say, yeah, deploy it, please. Yes, everything. I want to deploy it. And you will see going. Okay, and I want to open the application, which is called procurement, as the user. You will see what I'm talking about if you don't know this example. So this is the application for creating requests linked to suppliers. So first of all, I will create a supplier. For example, I've got a shoe supplier. And the description is I sell shoes. Okay. And once that I've created a supplier, then I can create a request for this supplier. So for example, let's imagine that I want red shoes, size 40, no heels. And this is my request for this supplier, and I will send this request. Okay, so now I have created a case. A case is an instance of this process. Let's take a look then. You already know we have several applications. The Bonita administrator application, let me open it on another tab. and the Bonita user application. I will also open it on another tab. We are currently in the procurement application, okay? On the Bonita administrator application, we will see that there's a page about monitoring open cases, which will list all the processes that are on this project. So I have 3 of them. And the one that I just initialized, a case is the procurement request. So now you will see that there is a new icon called View Diagram. That will allow me to see the diagram itself, very, very similar to what it's on the Bonita Studio, really to take a big overview and visualize the process. And also it will let me see the current cases, so the running cases, what's happening in real time. So it's telling me that there's one instance that is executing and waiting in here on this task. Okay, so this is what I just did by creating this new request. I could create another request so you can see how it's for children, how it takes into account the new one. Okay, so send request, and I will come back here and I will see that now I have 2. So it's really taking into account what I'm doing. And for example, on the Bonita user application as Walter Bates, so it's on supplier side, I've got this request of red shoes, and I can say, okay, I have red shoes of 100 euros. And you see, we are using, this example is using the currency widget that we just saw before. And maybe I can send them tomorrow. Whoop. So I can create it. So I just changed the status of this case, right? And I can see it here. It has gone to this stage. It's no longer here. So really, it's very useful if you want to follow in real time what's happening in your processes and in your cases. And now let me show you one last thing, because this part is flexible as well. So we are on the Bonita administrator application. This means that only administrators can access to this visualization part. What if I want more people to visualize this process? So under resources, I can look for the page, the Bonita the admin process visualization, and I can export it. Okay, this will download the page, and the next step is going then to the UI designer. So the UI designer is a part of Bonita Studio that allows to create very, very easily pages and forms and layouts. Okay, so and in here there's a button for import. So that means that the one that I have just exported, I can simply import it here, and it will not just import the page, but also the fragment that it contains and the widget. So if you're familiar with fragments and widgets, you may know that these are very, you can customize them according to your needs, which is great news, right? You can add it to your pages, to your forms, very, very useful. So for this example, I will just show you, I want on my procurement application, I have on my menu request suppliers. I want another option, for example, for monitoring. How can I do that? So I will come back to Bonita Studio. I have something called the application descriptors, which contains XML. And in here, you can add a page to your menu, an item to your menu. And so I will say this is called monitoring. And my application page is the one that I just imported, which is called admin process Bonita. And my token is monitoring. Up. And that way, I will just deploy it again so you can see the result. Yes, open it. So here it is. Now I have this monitoring option, which is available on the procurement application. Let's go for it. Oh, so it's not still displaying the diagram because the process ID is missing. So if you remember well, we have three different processes. So we need to tell which process we want to display, right? And for that, I will go to the administrator application. I will see my processes, and then I will choose this one, which is procurement request, see the details. And for this example, I will just copy paste this ID and go to the UI designer and modify this page. So this fragment and widget are needing the process ID variable, which is declared here. And on my administrator application, I was getting that information through the URL. So what I'm going to do for make this fast is just giving the ID, but you get the idea, and you have also the API to get this kind of information. You can get more information if you take a look at the release note. So if I go to the preview, now I can see that it has taken into account what I have said. Display this process, and it displays all the information and the current cases that are there. You can, of course, this is a fragment, so you can change the buttons, you can change the titles, the colors, so it's up to you to customize it. And in here, yeah, we'll just deploy it up. And in here, I will be able to see on my procurement application that now it is working as well. So this means that everyone that has access to the procurement application can take also a look and monitor the processes and cases. And well, that's it. We have taken a look at this Bonita 2022.2 version. And let's take a look at your questions if you have any. Let me show this up. Okay, so someone is asking, how can I migrate a project that was done with a previous version? Okay, I would say the best way to do it is to use Git, because that way it will really do it in the proper way. I think, yeah, we have some time, so just to show you what I mean. So for example, I have, yes, I will say clone, okay? And on my GitHub account, I have a project that was done with previous version. So sorry for the naming, but it's called a test, okay? And in here, I can get this URL of this code, of this repository. Now that I have that, I can just clone it here. It will clone it on my workspace of Bonita 2022.2. And I'll go next. It will fetch the master branch, and it will create this project called a test. And in here it says this repository needs to be migrated because it has detected that I created it with a previous version. So it is asking me if I want to perform this migration. So I will set say yes. Let's give it some time so it finishes. And so now it says that it has been cloned successfully. And also the important thing is that the same thing that it's saying on this pop-up in here, it has created migration nodes. So it's telling me what it has been modified. So for example, Bonita runtime version, you remember at the beginning when you created the project, 2022.2 is related to 15, and my project was 14, so it has been updated. That part, and also the Maven plugin version has been updated from 0.05 to 0.06. So I would say this is a very simple way and clean way. So Bonita helps you with the migration of your project to this new version. Okay. Let me get in here up. Yes, I will say, okay, someone else was asking about the fragment in the custom pages. Yes, I believe you are talking about, so this one. Yeah, this fragment, since, yeah, sorry. So since you can, where is it? Oh, because I changed project. So, but yeah, since you have added the fragment and the widget, you can definitely just put it. You want me to open it again, maybe? I'm sorry, it was just because I changed. No, sorry, switch project. Yes. So as any fragment or any widget, it's now available to add it to your pages. So you can just drag and drop and configure it in your page. The example that I show, it was showing the entire page, as you can see in here. But this is the entire page, and you can maybe just say, I just want the fragment or the widget, okay? How to use the parameters as a base URL when connecting to different connectors. How to use parameters as a base URL when connecting to different connectors. Are you talking about the Hello World example that I said? Is that what you're talking about? Okay, I believe. But the thing is, I don't think I will have really the time to show how to do it properly. So if you don't mind, could you send it? Well, I have your question, and then we can have, like, for example, an example to show exactly how to use this part, if it's okay with you. But yeah, we are talking about the what I was saying about the Hello World example. The parameters are configured in your environment. So you have, yes, these variables, these parameters that you can use on the entire environment, and you can have different values according to if you are in production or on local. For example, you have a mock server. It's a good practice, you know, to use this mock server instead of using your production server, because really you can have like very different and separated environments, so you don't risk a lot. And I will. Okay, someone who was asking if I don't want to use Git on my project, how can I do that? Well, I would say that as any other project, not only Bonita, but you know, when you have a Git, let me show you. But this is not really related to Bonita. So you have a community app. You have a workspace. So when you take a look at your workspace, it was my October demo that we just created. So inside the workspace, you will get a .git. I don't see it, it's hidden. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I am on Windows. Okay, but there's this .git folder that you will see, and you could just like erase it, and it won't. The thing is that Bonita sees when there's this Git configuration in your project. So if you don't have any Git configuration on this project, so that's on your workspace, then nothing will happen, right? So it will stop following it. Well, Git ignore it's different, because then you will say, I don't want to follow just this set of things. But if you just want to stop the link between your repository on GitHub and the local one, then I would say that's like the option to do it. But well, as I said, this is not really linked to specifically to Bonita, and it would be on any project. Okay, can look how to integrate a sub-process with the main process. Okay. How to integrate a sub-process to the main process? Again, I think that I can send you an example. I believe, let me show you. You can take a look at this one, for example, the expense report example, if I remember well. And that one contains inside sub-processes and on the main process. I think that would be easier for you to take take a look, and it already works, and you will see how it works. I think it will be easier, because right now we won't really have the time. I'm so sorry. But yeah, take a look at the expense report example, and you will see how it is done on a real project that works with Bonita. Okay, well, so thank you a lot for your time. If you don't have any more questions, it's been a pleasure to be with you, and I hope you enjoyed this journey through Bonita 2022.2. Don't hesitate to start using it, and yeah, go to community.bonitasoft.com or bonitasoft.com if you would like to know more about the Enterprise Edition and contribute to our Bonita community. Thank you again, and see you next month. Bye.